This
So
conference will now be recorded.
what we did was we put that on a queue for you guys that is disasters.
So where do I?
MD Dorian is disasters. So if you check, let me just check just a second here. Yep, you're there. So just click the change little button at the top, and that will give you the overlay, and then you'll see in parens disaster.
Oh.
See that?
I do. I see it now. I wasn't able to find it. Oh, I just lost your screen. Hello?
Yep.
I just lost your screen.
Okay.
Are you still sharing?
Yeah.
Because I don't see it.
Okay. Well, I'm sharing the main screen, and I just switched over to your queue disasters, so there's something maybe going on with your computer.
Okay. Now I have it.
Okay.
Okay. So
the queue that I'm talking about, or the inbox, is called 211 Maryland Disasters. When you click that change button, you will see all of the queues that you have access to. You were added to that disasters queue last week when we put you in there. That it was given instructions to go ahead and put all administrators into this MD Dorian queue. So we went ahead and did that. We put you in there, and that's where people can opt in and get the following information. So when somebody texts MD Dorian, they get this flow. And let me zoom in a little bit here. So the flow is residents. So right after you text MD Dorian, you are to get residents should remain alert and follow official orders, news stations, and weather forecasts in order to stay informed, and visit the knowyourzone.md.com website. And then 10 seconds after that message goes, they're going to get learn more about hurricane emergencies. And then you give a website there. Then it says know how to make an emergency kit. You get a website there, right? Know how to recover from a hurricane is 10 seconds after that one. And then you end with for live help, text your zip code or call 211. So that's the flow of messages that will go out to somebody who texts MD Dorian now. Like if I were to text MD Dorian, I would get that flow. Unless you guys make changes to that, that's what it will say, right? So if you want to dismantle MD Dorian, then we would turn off the keyword, we would turn off this flow, and then it would be, no longer operational. You could still access the data. You could have, reports, run your reports, all of that, check on your stats and so forth. But as far as the program being active, you would turn it off at that point if that was something you guys wanted to do.
So
winding down a program, usually, you wait a while just because there might be print, collateral out there or notices on websites. So one of the ways to wind a program like that down is to still provide information, but change the information. Say something like, for future hurricanes, here's some website information for, information about, so you can provide some of the same things, but it's just you're changing the tenor of it. It's not so much about the current hurricane, but about future disasters. And then if people continue to text MD Dorian into the future, what they're doing is they're getting notified about important things related to disasters. Then Then next time a disaster comes, we're adding a new keyword to that queue. We're adding a new flow, but you've already got people that you can broadcast information to, you see. So you've converted disasters that were part of an opt-in for Dorian, you converted them to now opt-in for the current situation, you see. So it's a listserv of people that is going to continue to grow regardless of the event. You have one event a year, you know, it'll grow during that period of time. You have 2 or 3 events, it'll grow during each one of those events. So you're kind of, this is ground zero, right? We started as a disaster queue for you. This disaster queue will be where we will warehouse all of that disaster work moving forward.
Okay. Can you show me how to set up a queue?
You can't just set up a queue. You have to ask us to set up the queue.
Oh, okay.
Do you mean a message flow? Are you asking a message flow?
Yes, a message flow.
Okay. So a message flow is set up like this. You go to Reminders tab, you go New, and then you select the keyword that it's going to go to, and then you select or you type your message. So this is a sample parent message or first message in a flow. And then I pick how long after they opt in, they will get this message. So if I pick 1 second, then this message will go 1 second after they opt into that keyword. I'm going to pick another keyword here, like this one, just so that we can do an example and show it to you in real time. So then I save. Once I'm happy with that first message, then I save it. Now I've got this new series up here, right? This sample message, parent message, first message in a flow, and it's going to go out 1 second after they opt into Dorian MD with a space. Then I can edit this, click the edit button, and this is my parent first message, and I'm going to add to the parent. So then I type message 2 in a series or flow of 3. So then I say, how long do I want this message to go after the first one? Let's go 10 seconds. That'll give time for them to read the first message, and then comes the second. Now I've got message 1, the parent, message 2 going after the parent 10 seconds later. Now I go off of message 2, add. This is message 3 in a flow of 3, right? So then I go 10 seconds later and save. Now I've got first, second, and that's my flow. If I text MD Dorian, or Dorian MD with a space, I'm going to get those 3 messages. Let's see it happen. So I'm going to text. A second here. I'm going to text MD, or Dorian MD with a space. And we'll see those messages go out to my phone. So that's how you set up a flow.
Okay.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple, right?
That's right. And it's at that point that I could put in a link to
the
site or.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
Of course. So those messages are editable. These messages can be edited. The ones that are live right now that have been going out can be edited by you.
Mm-hmm.
You can just go edit and then edit the message you want.
Okay.
If I want to change the first message that has been going out to this flow here, or these keywords here, then I would just go edit, and now I've got the parent, which I can edit. The moment I change this, moving forward, anybody that texts MD Dorian is going to get whatever I change it to. You see? So your flows are, that's the important critical part about flow, is you have control over the content of it. You're not asking your vendor to change the content. You're in charge of it. You're in charge of it. All you're asking us to do is set up keywords for you. Once you have a keyword for the event, you're in charge. You get to create all your own content.
Okay, so how do you schedule how do you schedule the messages pushing out to people?
Okay, so to send out a message to a group of people in the future.
Yes.
Let's say you want to notify everybody that's texted MD Dorian, right?
Right.
So you want to let them know something, right? So you go new, and then you type your message. You select your keyword. So this is a new alert for a specific time, okay? So we're going to pick that date and time. Right? Picking the date and time. And I'll put this in the future a tiny bit. And then I'm going to pick the one I opted into right there. So it doesn't go out to everybody that texted you so far in that queue. It just goes to me. I put a link in there so you can see how a link works. Just drag and drop the link. Then if I'm happy with the date and the time, then I'll go down here to the bottom and I'll save it. Right? Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Pretty easy. So then I've got this this message down here that's going to go out at that time to my phone. And when it goes out, it'll appear on my phone. It'll appear as sent in your reminders tab. So right now you don't have anything there. But when this message goes out in approximately 2 minutes, it's going to go to your sent column. So you've got current, what is active, what is working, what is live, and then when things get sent, they go to sent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You've also got an inactive column where you can stage content. So like, let's say you've got content that you think you're going to want to send out during an event, right? So I've got about 15 messages that I think sometime during this upcoming event, I'm going to want to send. But I don't want them to go out in error. I don't want them to send to people before that I deem it ready, right? So I go and I can create content, and as long as I put not active, as long as I deactivate it, I create as much content as I want. I can even date it. I can time date it if I wanted to. If I don't want to, I can leave that blank, right? So that means what? That means I can stage content that I believe I'm going to want to use. So I just got that reminder that was scheduled to go out at 12:38 or 3:38 Eastern. So we go to reminders. That's gone from current, right? It's now in the sent column. And there it is, right? It's sent. It's no longer active. It's done. So your time-sensitive content is different from your flow, right? Your flow doesn't have a time specific, right? Because it's going out based on somebody opting in. Whereas your time-sensitive content is going to go out to everybody, and it is very time-sensitive, right? It's this specific time I want to send this message, right?
Yeah.
So knowing the difference between your content, right? The flow is the kind of content that you want everybody to know, no matter what. Most important top 5 messages for this event. Your time-sensitive content is throughout the event, we're going to want to update information. We're going to want to send them alerts about different things, maybe that the flow alludes to. Maybe the flow says, hey, by the way, during the event, we're going to send you some more updates if they come up. And so my time-sensitive content is generated either in the moment, or what I was talking about earlier, I can stage it. I can ready it. I can make it something that I'm going to use, but I'm not ready to send it yet. So I can go new. This is a sample of content during the storm, let's say. Right? Yeah. And I can even put links in this, right? I know that probably during the storm, I'm going to set a time and date on this one, but I'm not going to today because I don't have a time and date for that, right? But I want to be ready. During that storm, I know that these are my high priority ideas, concepts, websites, and that I want content ready to go. I don't want to have to be trapped in a situation where I'm coming up with content I maybe can't get online. Maybe internet is spotty. Who knows? But I've got content in that inactive column, and I'm gonna go and activate, because now we're in the midst of it. And yep, I'm gonna go to that inactive message, and I'm going to go ahead and activate it, right? So I can save content as inactive. Let me inactivate it. And then I can save it, and then now it's not going to be under current because it's content that's inactive. I'm working on it. It's not ready to be sent yet. So go to inactive, and there's my content, right? Looks like you set something up here too. No, maybe I did. I put this sample message in here too for you guys to see as something you might want to send during the event, right? And I used an example of another. Oh, that's what we did. I put up a flow as an example. So this is a flow that was used for Dorian, but in another state. And I put it up for you guys as an example. But it's inactive, right? Because we never activated it. We wouldn't want to activate it because it's for another state, right? But it gives you an idea of what kind of thing you could set up for your community.
Yeah.
That's why we put it there.
Yeah.
We put content into your queues as examples of things that you might want to put in your queue. And you'll find it in places like the inactive. If you go to triages, we usually put up a sample survey. There isn't one here. But if you go to admin, you go to auto responses. Nope, we didn't put up any auto responses. What about canned messages? Nope, no canned messages. So usually we put things up in here to give you some examples of content. Since you guys were going to use this for that storm, Dorian, we focused on the reminders tab and what might help you there.
So are you able to put in some sample content for me in other areas?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. We can put in some auto responses and give you an idea of what those different things are. Now, another tab that it can be used during an event or can be used as future content to a client or multiple clients. And you asked about this. You'd asked about, well, how do I send a message that's tailored to specific sectors or segments of my listserv, right?
Yes.
So I can go show, and I can go new, and I can go custom group. Let's say it's vets, and I know, let's go one step further. Let's go over here to admin, and let's go data markers, and let's go new, and let's call this veterans. And let's say military. And we'll go pull down, and we'll go save data marker, and we'll go veteran as a value. As a value. And then we'll put up active duty as a value. As a value. Okay, so then we've got save this content, that's saved. So now we've got a data marker. Now look at this. I can data mark a client. I can data mark them based on a survey that they take, an intake survey, or I can data mark them based on me just data marking, putting that element on that phone number, you see. So when I want to group that phone number, I can go over here to the Groups tab, and I can go Show, and I can go New. And then I can find that phone number by the number. I can search up the number. Or I can find that number by data marker, veteran, right? And then we're gonna get at that phone number based on that data marker that we set. So then we can call it veterans, because now what we're doing is we're ISOing just the veterans. Why did we do that, or how did we do that? We data mark them as we go along. So as you can see, you can have programs that are very much tailored to specific audiences simply by adding an element to their profile.
Mm-hmm.
So by virtue of adding that veteran status to that phone number, I now have an audience that I can save and send content to. There's my ad hoc group, veterans. I can now send content to the veteran. And I can make that group whatever member of people or number of people I want. It could be 5,000 people. It could be 20,000 people. It could be 50 people. Whatever it is, that's a group that's ad hoc, right? Because it's not because of a keyword. It's because of an element that's on their profile.
Okay. So I'm interested.
This is a group SMS sample to vets, right? So now I'm sending a group text to these veterans, and I'm going to send it a few minutes from now, because I want to show you how that looks when it compiles in the system. So I select my ad hoc group here. I type my message. I can pop a URL in there if I want, and then I can send this message in the future. Let's put a few minutes further, because I want to make sure we have plenty of time to look at this future content. You see here how I can send this message to this client. It's just one. I can make a group of one, or I could make a group of, like I said, it could be 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever, right? So then I send when I'm happy with my group, and I'm happy with my content, happy with my time, send it. And then it says group message created successfully, it goes to unprocessed for a moment, but then as soon as it's processed, it goes to processed. And then there it is. It was set up at that time. It's going to send at that time. It was set up by, here's the author. Is it completed? Yes. Has it been canceled? No. What group is it going to? It's going to the veterans. And then how many created? One was created for it, just because we put one number in that group. But if it was 5,000, it would say 5,000 messages were created. And then I can cancel that as long as I catch it before that send time. If I cancel before the 9:16 9:16 in approximately 5 minutes from now, I'll have canceled it before it goes. Therefore, it won't go.
Okay.
I can also go to the phone number that I put that in, right? I can go 831 and I can see my staged content by phone number. So look here, if I show unsent, there it is. This is a group SMS to sample to vets, right? And there's the link that I put in it. And look, when I scroll over the timestamp, it says in process. Why? Because it hasn't been sent yet. It still has 5 minutes before it's going to send. If I want to cancel for just this subscriber, I can. I can cancel by subscriber. So I could send a future message to an individual or multiple individuals and cancel just for one. I don't have to cancel the whole group message.
Can you show me again where in process shows up?
Sure. So under Groups tab, unprocessed shows up here, right? Then your message goes to unprocessed. If there's ever trouble with the message, if it wasn't able to be built into the system and prepared for going out to the clients, rare, but it could happen, it would show up as unprocessed. Generally, it just goes straight. It hits unprocessed for a second, and then it goes to process. Especially if it was 5,000 people that it was going to, it would stay in unprocessed for a little bit longer. Because it's preparing that message for 5,000 people rather than just one. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
So
and then when that message goes, it's going to go to my phone number and we'll see it go. We'll see it go in real time in a few minutes from now, unless I had canceled that, which I didn't. I'm going to let that message just go because it's just set up to go to my number. And I'll go ahead and get that message in about 3 or 4 minutes from now. And we'll see that. We'll see it go from unsent to sent.
Okay.
We gray out the unsent because it isn't sent yet, right? It's still in the ether. It's up in sort of the middle land, right? It hasn't been delivered to the carrier yet. It's sitting in our system. The moment that time comes, well, then it gets pushed out to the carrier.
Okay.
And then to the end user.
Okay.
We delivery stamp everything. So if it's an outgoing message that's part of a conversation, it gets a delivery stamp. If it's part of a reminder that's part of a group push out alert that's set up in the reminders tab, every single one gets a delivery receipt. If it's a listserv of 50,000 or 10,000 or whatever the listserv is, all of them get delivery stamps.
Great. So I'm concerned about managing the people who opted in for various keywords and have not received any content yet. How do I find?
So let's go over to your Maryland. Let's go over to your Maryland program, and I believe all of your group or your keywords for folks that have opted into your various keywords are all here. So if you go to Reminders tab, and you go to Reminders tab, and here's your flow for each keyword, right? You've got a message that goes out to all of your keywords. You've got a initial message that if you look here for, like, let's look at MD homeless, okay? So when somebody texts MD homeless, they're gonna get, thank you for joining MD homeless, for alerts and resources for individuals and families that are experiencing homelessness. So that's what they get when they text that. They get it 2 seconds after. So far, you haven't sent them any content beyond that initial greeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to send out another message to that group, you would go Reminders tab. You would go down here to New, and I just got that reminder that I sent to my phone at 3:55.
Yeah.
Okay, so if let's say I want to send out a group message to my homeless folks, I would type my message, right? I would select, so this is a sample for the homeless keyword. Okay? Then I would select MD homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have people in this one, which you do, MD homeless with a space, some people, their phones auto-correct and put MD space homeless, which is fine. You just check the keyword that one, and you would check the keyword that one that has a space.
Think of that. Okay.
We think of it. We think of it for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. And then 20, I would put in a date and a time if I want it to go out, right? I'd pick the September and the 16th if I want it to go out today, and then I would just pick a future date and time, right? Let's pick a future date and time here. And so now I've got MD homeless, 495 people, MD homeless with the space 27, and then I've got a time here that's in the future, right? Let's do it a little bit more in the future. And then I'm going to save it, right? And then now I've got content that is going to go out to that group. I go back over here, right? That's going to go out to that group, MD homeless, unless I cancel it or change it. It's going to go out in, approximately 2.5 hours from now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless I change that, or 4.5 hours. Unless I change, or 3.5 hours. Unless I change that, so I can go edit and change it. I can put whatever I want in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can also set it as inactive. So now I've got message that won't go out. Even if this time comes and passes, it's not going to go out because I unchecked active.
Okay.
So now let's save that. So now inactive will have content. Yep, there it is. Here's a sample. This is a sample for the homeless keyword. So you could go to the inactive. You could edit that message. You could set your date and time to a new future date and time and send. And then that's going to go out to your group.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Here's content. Here's content for MD Money, right? Here's a sample for people who opt into MD Money. Again, we set this up for the date and time is well past. We put this up here for your consideration, just so that you've got something in the inactive to look at and work with. If I want to create a brand new one for a new group, I would just go current, scroll down to the bottom, pick new, and then pick my new group. My new group might be MD Kids, right? Because we're going to start pushing out content to the people who opt into MD Kids. If there were content here with the space, or subscribers here with the space, I would put that too, but there isn't. So I'm just going to, well, I'll leave that because we'll leave it as sample content. So this is a sample group SMS to everyone in the MD Kids keyword list, right? And then now I can put inactive, and guess where it's going to go, right? It's going to go to that inactive column, right? So I save it, and now I've got that content or that message as well, right? They're MD Kids, ready to go, ready for you to edit and set a future date and time with, and go ahead and broadcast information to everybody who opts into MD Kids. So you can, and as you can see here, you can be promoting these keywords at any point, right? You can say, hey, you know, we're going to really get behind MD Kids. We want families to start to see content. We've got a new grant. We're working hard at getting content curated, and we're excited about it. So you can go ahead and start to promote it, right? MD Kids to 898211 for help with your child development needs, or help with getting the appropriate school, or help with applying for a school, or help with, you know, registering your kid, or help with whatever, right? And so then you now have a megaphone that you can put information out on. Mm-hmm. And you can stage as much content as you want, right? You could put a bunch of messages here in the inactive that are all consistent with what you want to start to send out to MD Kids. Another thing is that you can build on your first message. It doesn't have to be just that one message that goes out. You could send a series or flow when people text MD Kids. To edit my flow for MD Kids, I would go to current, and I would go down here, and where's MD Kids? MD Kids is right, probably on page 2. There it is, MD Kids, right? Thank you for joining MD Kids. Alerts, tips, news, advice about parenting, childcare, education, and much more. I could leave it at that, or I could go edit and add to it, you see? So that you're sending them that first message, the parent, and then you're sending them 10 seconds later a follow-up message that says a little bit more about the program. So it's in your control. You've got the keys to that. You can edit this flow and make it something entirely different if you need it to be entirely different, right? Just realize that if you edit the MD Kids, the parent, then moving forward, it will be whatever you change it to, right? It won't be that the message that subscribers got before you edited it, right? The moment you change it, well, then that will be the new flow. That will be the new first message that goes out when somebody texts MD Kids.
So for those 54 that already received this first message.
You can't back. You can't like opt them in again under a new flow. But what you can do is you can go to Reminders tab and you can say, hey, I've got a message for my MD Kids, and type it, send, and select the keyword MD Kids, just like I showed you, right? The 2 keywords, and then I type my message and I send it out, whatever that is. So the 54 people can be told whatever you want. It's just, if you want to move forward under a different set of opt-in messages, then go ahead and edit that flow.
Is there, okay.
If you want to notify the 54 people that have opted in already of something that is new, then just use a message and put a time that you want it to go out and send to all 54.
So it looks like there's a limit on the number of characters that you can put in the text box.
Yeah, so you can get up to 255, and then after that, you have to put it as a secondary message.
Okay.
That's a lot of characters. That's a lot of content. 255.
Uh-huh.
So you just make sure that you don't, it won't even let you save a message that's over 255.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It'll tell you your message is too long.
Yeah.
Standard text message is 160, but most carriers will take 255.
Okay.
So we set that as 255.
Okay.
If it's a carrier that doesn't accept 255, then we auto split it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think almost all carriers accept a 255. It's almost all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see it. I mean, if you send a message that's 255 and a client with a carrier that doesn't accept 255, you'll see it's just two messages back to back, right? It's your content split in half or whatever the remaining characters were.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, this is. Go ahead.
So yeah. So we talked about like how you manage a listserv, right? How you manage your keywords, right, and your groups, and how you can build ad hoc groups with the groups tab. So I mean, you can really become very tailored in the kind of content you provide, because if you think about it, let's say you broadcast MD Kids. At a certain point, you could ask them a question, right? What is the age of your child? Do you have children between the ages of 0 and 5, right? So that you're learning more about your listserv. And then what you can do is if you ask that question can auto-populate their response and data mark their response, right? So that then you know this much more about your 54, so that you can group them accordingly, you see. So your listserv can always evolve, and as you learn to use the software in more innovative ways, and then that group can be segmented, and then that group can be, well, here's parents that identified that they had an infant, versus here's parents that identified that they had an adolescent, versus here's parents that identified that they had a teen, you see. So that it's kind of like you're building more detail and knowledge about that group into the listserv as we go along.
So that's pretty amazing that it auto-populates the data marker.
Yeah, we can do that. We can auto pop that data marker based on a response given, and we can set up for all of the subscribers to get that question, so that you're not even hand building that group. That group is built and facilitated based on an automated Q&A.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So you're never stuck with a group that has no way forward, right? You're never stuck with a group that has no way forward, and that's important. It's because there's always something that you can learn from your group that can twist it and pivot it slightly, so that you keep your group intact, and you're able to send them content that they want.
Uh-huh. But you have to create the keyword for us.
If you want to set up a new keyword, yeah,
Yes.
we have to create that keyword for you. That's right.
All right.
If you want to set up like a whole new group, a whole new, keyword sector of or segment of subscribers, then yes, you're saying, hey, PreventionPays, can we set up this new keyword like we did with the disaster?
Okay. So just looking, this has been very helpful. But just looking at the headers at the top of the page, what is SMS?
SMS is all your inbound and outgoing. Like you can look at all your inbound or you can look at all your outbounds, right? And just see it, looking at it. Okay, this is what we've gotten in inbound from clients that have opted into this queue. And these are outgoing messages that have been sent, right? Which are all going to be, thank you for joining and all of that, right? Because it's all, to this point, you haven't sent any content down these pathways. It's all just, well, it looks like actually new resource. Did you send that?
No.
New resource. Let me see when this was sent. This was sent in February.
So was it sent? So it probably from the INR queue, the person who's handling our.
No, this was somebody actually went in. This would have had to have been in this program's queue. So somebody, let me just check here. Yeah, somebody's been using Groups tab. You see all these?
So this is in the past when Josh was here?
Yep.
But looking
they were
at
all created by Josh.
19.
So he had used the Groups tab quite a bit, right? He'd used the Groups tab to send to these various keywords this content.
Okay, so I just got confused. Thought I was really understanding. So.
Well, just imagine for a minute that we go back in time. Josh is the content curator for this queue. He created content, and that content isn't going to go away. It's there for you. It's showing that this happened. We keep track of everything. We keep track of all messages that occur in this queue. Every queue. We're keeping track of everything. If it's a conversation that happens, that will be part of the transcripts, right? It'll be part of the data. It'll also be part of the website. If you send group messages, those group messages will be processed and sent, and you'll be able to audit and see those as sent. So if today you say, you know what, I'm going to send a message to my MD kids, and I want to, send out a message to that group, then I can type my message and click send, and it'll go out, right? You can use Reminders tab or Groups tab for that. It looks like Josh liked using the Groups tab. So some people like to use the Groups tab because you can kind of see your subscribers there. You can further segment and build separate groups within the big group, right? So it's just a preference thing. Other people like Reminders because it's easy. You just go to Reminders tab, you go and click New and select your keyword, right? You select your keyword and type your message. You type your message, select your keyword, and send. So it's just a preference thing. Now, Groups tab lets you build those different groups, which is why I think Josh probably used the Groups tab to broadcast information out, is so that he could build some ad hoc groups as well.
So he might pull in 4 or 5 different keywords together into one group.
Another reason maybe why he used the groups tab was he was able to kind of build a group based on the opting into these various keywords, and then he could see that content created. He could send it and prepare it to go out in the future, and it's just I can't really. It probably the main reason is that, like I said, when you go to groups tab, you can build a group based on all subscribers in all of the keywords. So, and you can also send out, say, a group message and see responses from them, and then just group that group of people who sent back a response, you see. So it's just really, there's various reasons why you would go to groups tab versus why you would go to the reminders tab. There's pros and cons to both of those.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, I think, a good, like listserv management, those who become very good at both are the ones who do the best, because it's being able to also evolve with your groups, and that's what groups tab lets you do.
Mm-hmm. So could you go back? Did you click on create a new group to get here?
How to create a new group?
From the other page, how did you get to this page? Did you click on create?
Okay, so when I click the groups tab, it defaults to send, right? It wants you to go, okay, you pick your group and send. If you don't want to send content, then you pick show. And show lets you build groups. So
Okay.
Groups, show, and then new. And now I'm building a new group. I can call it what I want. I can sort by keyword or data marker or note, right? I can put a note on a client and sort by that note and get to them, right? So that I've got enormous flexibility when it comes to who I stick in this group.
Mm-hmm.
This lets me sort by all those variables.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can just go 831, and then there I'm opted out. But if I were opted in, I could send content to my phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could sort by keyword, right? And then I can go MD kids, right? So now I'm searching and sorting by everybody who is in the MD kids group. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's everybody that's in MD kids. And I can say add all, right? MD kids on a certain date and time. MD kids on September 8th. And then I can go add all. And then now I've got this MD kids group that is a snapshot in time, right? It's a snapshot in time. It's an MD kids on this particular date and time. So you can kind of benchmark your programs that way. So now I've got MD kids on September 16th is 45 members.
Mm.
Okay. So again, kind of like email listserv, right? When you manage email listservs, your email listserv grows. It fluctuates. One day it's 150 people. The next day it's 300 people. So you can send out emails based on, right, those groups that you build based on that moment in time. And Groups tab lets you do that.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't like that one that I just made, I can just delete it, right? So you can delete your groups. You can edit your ad hoc groups. Ones you cannot are the ones that are based on a keyword. So you've got automatically a keyword opt-in group under your groups tab that exists just simply because everybody texted that keyword. So I wouldn't have to build an ad hoc group of MD kids because I'm going to always have that right here.
So what is managed?
It's just getting familiar with the different features and functions and learning how to use it and learning how to, I think, also tag clients, you know, put notes on them or data markers. Probably most efficiently is data marking them, because as you learn about your clients, that then becomes the more tailored content.
Yes. So what is managed? Called managed at the top. These two at the top that are managed, there's 0 members, but.
Oh, good. Yes. Okay, so I can case manage or I can own. To case manage, I go assign under the profile. I go assign, and I assign case manager Sandra. Assign.
Okay.
So I just assigned that 443 case manager Sandra to you. So it's a way of grouping clients in more ways than the keywords, in more ways than the data markers. It's a way of, I want to earmark these clients because I'm going to send them a text that's just specific to the one thing that I need these 5 people to get. And so I can assign them that case manager role. And then, Sandra, when you go to groups, you'll have 1 member under cases I manage, because that one case I assign to you as case manager, you see. So you can be a case manager of 5 or 10 or 15 or 20. It could be you use it for a different purpose, that it's, you know, a super high risk group that you were really concerned about. They were getting texts that you were sending to them about child development, but then they also indicated that they were homeless. And you thought, wow, I've got a homeless family, so I'm going to case manage this family. And not case manage in the sense of maybe the way we think about it in terms of I've got a file on them. I'm case managing, like kind of that social services, you know, historical concept of case management. It's case management because I'm concerned about this group of subscribers. And I want to send them some content that's different. I want them to get content that's about the MD kids. That's fine. But I also want them to get some other things that I think are going to be really important to help them get out of the situation that they're in. So I can case manage. You could case manage as many as you wanted to. I can also, and then the other one is cases I own. And let me show you that. So if I go to the users tab and I go open, and I go open, and I go and I find a number 831. I can't open that one, but let me see if I can go 443. Okay, and then let's say I open this one. Now I've got 3 cases that I opened up. That means when I go to Groups tab, I've got 3 cases that I own. You see the difference? You've got a case that we made you manager of. So when you go to the send, you'll see that one case in cases I manage. When I go to the send, I see the 3 cases that I opened up. So those 2 assignments are always available to you to use as needed.
Okay.
If you open up the cases, then you're opening them up to have dialogue with them. Not necessarily, but it could be, right? Because you've got the text box and you could be sending them personal messages, right? Individualized messages. The case manager lets you target them with content without actually opening up their case and having it be a case that you're gonna maybe have a conversation with. When you open up a case, it opens it up to the concept of having dialogue, right? And so some people like to use Case Manager because you can still hand select and pick a little subgroup and send them content without actually opening them up and having a dialogue with them.
Okay. So those phone numbers are people who sent in a keyword to the system?
All of these ones here, yes,
Yeah.
all of these phone numbers in this queue are people who texted one of your keywords, MD homeless, or we can look at them. We can go to the home tab and see all your active keywords. They're all right here for this queue.
Okay. So I want to
And
make
you're right. Everybody who's texted into this queue are people who texted one of those keywords. That's right.
So I want you to unassign me wherever you
Okay.
assign.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Users tab, and I'm going to go, I think I put you under right here. You can see the assignment right there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then I'll go edit, and I'll go edit Sandra, and I'll go unassign. Now, I can unassign my cases simply by going close, close, close.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Does that all make sense?
Yes, this has been enormously helpful. I don't feel totally in the dark anymore, and I feel like I have a path forward. So I really appreciate your spending the time with me today.
Yeah, no problem. I think you know, we can move along and we can show you some things, and then as you become more, you know, you feel more confident with just, you know, sending out maybe a few reminders to your groups or a few groups messages to your groups, and kind of get a feel for that work, then we can talk about, well, how then might we add, you know, some surveys, or how might we add some additional, you know, some additional capacity to what you're doing, and you know, look to expand that. But for now, I think you've got a pretty good feel for how you can send content to clients and manage it under those two tabs, the Reminders tab and the Groups tab.
Yes, I do. Okay. Well, thank you again, and enjoy the rest of
No
the day.
problem.
Okay.
All right. Talk soon.